Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into what is, without a doubt, the single most important biological process on the entire planet: photosynthesis.
So, have you ever really stopped to wonder how a plant eats? It's a simple question, right? But the answer is kind of mind-blowing. See, they don't eat, not like we do. They literally build their own food from scratch, using stuff that's all around them. And that incredible process, it's called photosynthesis. At its heart, it's about a plant taking just three simple ingredients: sunlight, water, and air, and using them to cook up its own food. It is the fundamental power source for pretty much all life on Earth. It's literally turning sunlight into life.
Okay, so let's dive right in. We'll start with the basics. What exactly is this green engine, and why is it so ridiculously important to, well, everything?
You can basically think of plants as nature's original solar-powered factories. This ability to make their own food is what makes them autotrophs, which really just means self-feeders. This is what sets them apart from animals like us. We're heterotrophs, meaning we have to actually go out and find our food. So to really get how this all works, we're going to have to shrink down. I mean, way down. We're going on a journey from the world we can all see right into the microscopic universe inside a single leaf.
First up, think of the leaf itself as the factory building. Its broad, flat surface, that's no accident. It's perfectly designed for maximum efficiency, kind of like a giant solar panel, positioned just right to soak up as much sunlight as it possibly can.
And you know, every good factory needs a loading dock, right? Well, the leaf has millions of them. They're these tiny little pores called stomata. And these are the gateways that let one of the key raw materials, carbon dioxide, come right in from the atmosphere.
Okay, so once we're inside the factory, we find the real machinery, these things called chloroplasts. These are the engine rooms. They're packed with the green pigment chlorophyll. That's what gives plants their color, by the way. And its job is to capture all that energy from the sun.
All right, now let's check out the assembly line itself. It's actually a two-part process, and this is where we see how all those raw materials, the sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, get completely transformed. So yeah, it's this super coordinated two-step dance. In step one, the plant is basically just capturing solar energy, and then in step two, it uses that captured energy to build the final product. And what's really cool is that these two steps happen in different parts of the chloroplast. This table breaks it all down really nicely. So on the left, you've got the light reaction. This happens in a part of the chloroplast called the thylakoids. And as the name says, it absolutely needs light. It takes water and sunlight and creates these little energy packets, ATP and NADPH. Then, over on the right, you have the light-independent reaction, which you might also hear called the Calvin cycle. Now, this part doesn't need light directly. Instead, it takes those energy packets we just made and uses them to turn carbon dioxide into sugar. So you see, one phase captures the power, the next one uses that power to build.
Okay, so we've got our raw materials. We've got our two-step assembly line. So what are the final products? What actually comes out the other end of this incredible microscopic factory?
Well, the factory has two main outputs. First, it makes its own food. It makes glucose for instant energy, and then it stores any extra as starch for later, kind of like stocking its own pantry. But the most amazing part, at least for us, is the byproduct. What's basically just waste for the plant is oxygen. And that waste product is the very thing that makes our life, all animal life, possible.
Just think about that. Every single breath you take is powered by this tiny process happening inside a leaf. It is no exaggeration to say that plants literally breathe life into our world. In fact, if you go back billions of years, it was early photosynthetic life that completely changed our planet's chemistry, paving the way for everything else, including us, to even exist.
Okay, so we've been zoomed way in on the microscopic level. Now let's pull all the way back out and look at the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about what's happening in one leaf. This is about the entire globe.
500 billion tons. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That is the estimated weight of carbohydrates. We're talking the fuel at the bottom of almost every single food chain on Earth that plants produce through photosynthesis every single year. And look, it's not just about food. This process is what keeps our entire atmosphere in balance. It really does act like the planet's lungs. It breathes in the carbon dioxide that we in our industries pump out, and it breathes out the oxygen that we all need to survive. It's the engine of the entire carbon cycle. And get this, over millions of years, it's even the process that created the fossil fuels our entire modern world was built on.
So, the next time you just walk past a tree or see a simple green leaf, I want you to remember what you're really looking at. It's a tiny, perfect solar factory. It's one small part of this massive green engine that literally built our world and keeps it running every single second of every day. Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty heavy question for our time, right? In an age of deforestation and a changing climate, what happens if we tip the balance? What happens when we start breaking the most important machine on the entire planet?